All right, well, yes, indeed. That is what is in the air at the moment, the tussle, the leadership of the National Assembly. That is what we're starting with here today. And we're going to Abuja. Mark.
Well, we're expecting two guests to help, dissect the particular issue. But we have one of them in the studio right now. He is a member-elect of the House of Representatives. They've not been inaugurated yet. But Mr. Bamidele Salam, a member of the People's Democratic Party and also elected member of the National Assembly, especially the House of Reps in particular, is with me in the studio. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Mokwe. Good morning. Good
morning. What exactly is the interest of the PDP? Should I be saying the PDP in this instance now? You're a new member-elect. What exactly is your party pushing any perspective on this speakership tussle?
Well, like you know, the House of Representatives and Assemblage of different political parties. We have a majority political party, which is the All Progressive Congress, then followed by the PDP in terms of the numbers of members in the House. And we have a motley of other members-elect from other political parties, the ADP, the AA, the ADC, the Labour Party, the ABGA, and so on. And it is natural that when you have a contest like this, in the best tradition of democracy, the majority party usually produces the leadership. The best example we've had is the United States of America, which also runs a presidential system of government where you had the majority party always producing the leadership. The party that has the majority in the House of Reps.
So that's a tradition you hope will be followed?
Well, yeah, it's a tradition, and I think it's a purposeful tradition because usually the parliament is supposed to be a representation of its members, a representation of the dominant political view. Nancy Pelosi has been there for the 17th term, and she was at a time the speaker. She reverted back to be the minority leader when the party lost out, and now she's back, as the speaker. So, as it were, as of today, the contenders for the speakership are all from the All Progressive Congress. Unfortunately, we don't have a PDP member running.
Unfortunately.
Like I said in line. Oh, unfortunately, yeah, I would have loved to have a PDP person running for the office. Why not?
But you just said the majority, the majority.
Yeah, I said tradition. The tradition is not necessarily the law. The law allows you, as long as you are a ranking member of the House of Reps, to run for the speakership position. That, the law allows you. But there's a tradition. And I look forward to the time when someone will come up and then say, well, I'm not going along with this tradition. I'm going to put in my aspiration, and then sells himself on the platform of
that will be regardless of whether or not your party is the one in majority.
Well, if you can muster the number, why not?
Well, I'm just wondering. I mean, you have seen the back and forth and the infighting. I would be very categorical within the APC. It cost them elections in 2015, and it was seen that it has come up again in 2019. Does your party have a perspective? Because your party largely, was the hand behind, part of the divisions we saw in 2015. Does your party have a perspective or anyone they're supporting in 2019?
For the speakership of the House of Representatives?
For speakership of the House
yes,
of Representatives.
as I speak, there is none. Now, let me just do a little bit of a recap of 2011. It started in 2011.
Yes.
2011, you remember that the PDP, which was the majority party, had a candidate in person of Honorable Mulika Tadiola. But, there were some issues within the party. There were more than one contenders for the speakership from the PDP. And one of them eventually emerged as the speaker, and then fast forward to 2015.
Was that paid back?
Said, well, in politics, it's a game of number.
Yeah.
And you see, like I always tell people, what plays out in the House of Representatives is a little bit different from what plays out outside. Now, each of the 360 members has a vote, and you also want a candidate, an aspirant who can convince you, who can blend with you, who can synergize with you on your own thoughts on politics. So in this instance, for example, we have let me say three major contenders. Actually, it's boiling down, it's narrowing down to two. Honorable Gbajabiamila from Lagos State, Honorable Bago from Niger State, and the third person who is also, trying to pick up some numbers is Honorable John Day from Benue State. And each of them is trying to reach out to the members, speak to them. As I sit with you here, Mokbe, I want to tell you, only one person has reached out to me, has spoken to me, has told me what he has in stock. It's Honorable Gbajabiamila, who's told me what he has in stock, who's presented what I can call a roadmap to me in person. I'm talking of personal now. And at times, some of these things also play out. We have 24 hours to the election, as it were. But when members sit down in that hallowed chamber, a lot of things crop up in their mind. Yes, we all belong to different political parties, and the interest of our party is very, very, very paramount. But again, like I said, when you don't have a member of your political party running, you have a choice to make, between or among those who are contending from the other political parties, and then you consider where you stand with each of the, aspirants, and then you take a broader look at what they are bringing to the table, and see which one best serves the interest of Nigeria, which best serves the interest of the constituency you are representing. Those are the things that will eventually play out by the time we get to the chambers tomorrow to elect our presiding officer.
Your party has absolutely no say in all of this?
Oh, sure, the party has a say. There are consultations going on. As I speak, there is no official position of the party. There are consultations going on. Even as at yesterday night, there are still meetings, here and there. Party leaders trying to meet with members of the party, trying to analyze each of the aspirants to see, which one offers the best for Nigeria, and that will not also, be detrimental to the interest of the party. We have an opposition in Nigeria today, which we have to nurture. The PDP is in opposition. We have to present a vibrant opposition. We have to present an opposition that will not be muzzled on the altar of pecuniary gains. So and these are some of the things that we're also looking at.
You say Honorable Gbajabiamila has reached out to you.
He's the only one who has personally reached out to me, who knows me by name, who knows whom I have asked questions, who has answered questions, and I'm considering the options.
You're considering the options?
Oh, yeah, I'm still considering the options.
Because there's a lot of controversy around his emergence. You have seen some of the scandals. Some people saying, oh, he was indicted by the Supreme Court in Georgia. Some say, no, he's not going to be able to support the Buhari presidency. This is going to be the face of, or is it the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob and things of the sort. You have...
Yeah,
you've heard some of those controversies. Aren't they playing up in terms of how you're making your decision?
I've read some of those things, but you see, we are politicians, and we understand how some of these things play out. Whenever you have an election season, which comes every 4 years here, issues will come up everywhere. Even if you're an angel who comes down from heaven and you try to consider an election in Nigeria or anywhere in the world, issues will always come up. Now, the most unfortunate thing, is that we don't have strong political parties that can drive their agenda. Now, the APC, which is the majority party, which is the party in government, is the party I want to blame for all this. If you are presenting a candidate, you have to make sure that you do your wide consultations. And like I tell you, like I said earlier on, most of these things that come up are election stunts, if you want me to call them. I've looked at the issues. Let me take one issue, for example, the issue of conviction in the state of Georgia. I also did my own due diligence. I'm a lawyer. I did my due diligence, and I'm convinced that there is no such record of any conviction of Honorable Gbajabiamila in the state of Georgia. There's nothing like that. There was an issue of a breach of ethics in legal practice, which was eventually sorted out, and as lawyers, we should work on facts. The fact I have is that he was not convicted of any criminal, offense anyway. And in any case, even the other major contenders, the main other contender, I've also read stuff about him being dismissed from one bank for doing, some things with customers' funds and whatever. I don't have the fact. So the ones I have the fact on are the ones that can influence my sense of judgment. Sincerely speaking, I don't get too carried away with all these, emotional stuff coming out, especially election season. This guy has been, I think he's a fifth timer. He's been in the House of Reps for 5 times, you know, consecutively from the same federal constituency. If these are weighty issues, they should have, you know, cropped up at the point of qualification, disqualification, legal contest, and so on, and we should have a position on them. I regard them as some of these things that happen whenever you have an election season coming up, and they don't really go, you know, so far to the issue as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. You're not worried about the influence of any godfather?
Yes. Now I am, sincerely speaking. I'm worried about the influence of godfathers, in quotes. But you see, the House of Representatives, the National Assembly generally, is an institution that is too big for any one man to control. Those who don't have an understanding, you know, may be thinking that it's like the State House of Assembly, where you have governors bossing it over their, you know, members of the House. The National Assembly has an interplay of forces that will guard its independence very jealously. It has internal mechanism. Let me give an example. When the national chairman of the APC was quoted as having said that, you know, they're going to run the House alone, they were not going to consider members of the PDP for any position in the House, and what, I laughed. Yeah, now, with due respect to Mr. Adams Oshiomhole, he's never been in the Parliament, and so he had a very little understanding of how this system works. This system works on collaboration, on networking. There has to be a synergy amongst all the contending forces in the House for you to move anything forward. You don't come there as a unilateral body of politicians and assume that you can just railroad everyone into a certain viewpoint or a national position. So even if there are godfathers behind any aspirant or any contender, the management of the control of the National Assembly is way off beyond the control of one person sitting anywhere. I don't know how much influence any godfather had on Dogara, had on Tambuwal, had on any other person who had come into the office. And most politicians do have godfathers. They may not call them godfathers. They do. I call mine, you know, my destiny helpers. I do have some too, who are my destiny helpers. I don't want to call them godfathers, so I don't get God to be very jealous.
Well, some people...
But most politicians do have someone that you look onto, someone who's like a mentor, who's like a backbone that God has provided there for you. And it doesn't really mean that that person is the one that tells you, you know, what to do on a daily basis, especially when you have defined rules by the Constitution, by the rules of the House, by convention. You have rules that you have to execute, and it goes beyond, you know, one man, you know, coming to boss you around or tell you go this way or go that way. It will not work in the National Assembly. So I don't have that fear whatsoever.
What are your expectations then for the, I mean, as you're going into the 8th Assembly? What do you think will play out tomorrow? First, as the 9th Assembly is going to be inaugurated. Let's start from there before I go into your expectations.
You see, we have a saying in politics that 24 hours is a long time. It's still a long time. It's still a long way to go. But,
it's a long time, so you could be singing a different tune tomorrow.
No, me. No, I've taken my decision. But you see, it's a secret ballot, and I wouldn't want to go into that. But what I'm saying is that 24 hours is a long time in politics. And there are people who may be in Camp A today who, by tomorrow, might be switching over. Who even tells you that tomorrow you won't have one of the, aspirants, withdrawing from the race, and you eventually have only one person going into the contest? It's very possible. I know there are all manner of meetings. I've seen all manner of, I've seen all sort of adoption by caucuses from the states, people from Party A adopting the candidates of the other political party, and so on and so forth. So I see tomorrow as any other day. Elections will come and go. The one who has the 50% plus one, according to the rules of the House, will emerge as the Speaker. I don't see anything too dramatic. And sincerely speaking, it appears that it's almost 85% done in favor of someone.
You don't want to say the name?
Well, in favor of someone. You are in the media too. You do your findings. You already know.
We don't know. I mean, 1 minute we say one thing, next minute we say another thing.
You
are the one involved in all of this tussle and negotiations and deliberations.
Let me give you this scenario. We have a forum, for example, of first-time lawmakers, of which I am a member.
Yes.
We have met as a group with only one. Like I said, I keep repeating this. The only person who has called a meeting with first-timers, to my own knowledge, is Honorable Gbajabiamila, who has come to meet with us on 2 different occasions to discuss, to present himself. We have had caucuses. For example, yesterday I was reading the Southeast Caucus, the whole Southeast Caucus of the House of Representatives, standing up to adopt him. I know, as a matter of fact, that he has the majority in his own political party, the All Progressive Congress. I know that as a matter of fact. So unless anything very, very unusual happens, I don't see Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila losing the election, tomorrow into the position of the speakership. I don't see it happening. Like I said, unless anything very unusual happens within the next 24 hours, I don't see him losing that election.
Okay. What are your expectations then? You have promised your people a certain number of things when going to the House of Representatives, but oftentimes what we promised and what we hope to achieve, or what we are able to achieve when you look at what is on the ground, can be 2 different things. What are you looking for the 9th Assembly to achieve when it's inaugurated?
Yes, I am hoping that the 9th National Assembly will be one that is very alive to the mood of the nation, that is very alive to the fact that we have a country that is bedeviled with all manner of social, political, and economic crisis. We have a country where we have 37% youth unemployment, where we have, one of the most extreme poverty in the world. Nigeria has the most out-of-school children. At the last count, 12.5 million children out of school. We have an economy that is still largely based on a diminishing product, which is oil. I want to see a National Assembly that will be very robust in its thought, that will be robust in its presentation and its representation. I want to see the next leadership forming an agenda, especially on tackling youth unemployment. This is a very major issue in Nigeria. It's a time bomb. If you want me to use that, what has eventually become like a refrain, it's a time bomb. We have a large section of our youth, we're turning out graduates every year, and they don't have jobs. What laws can we put in place? What laws should we amend that will enhance job creation, that will make microcredits available to small businesses, that will change the pattern of the government feeding the rich and the fat, and turn the attention of the government to the poor and the underprivileged? I want to see a National Assembly where there will be, much activities around programs, making laws and policies that will create programs to help children who are out of school to get back to school and get education, at least basic education, the first 9 years at absolutely no cost. Nigeria can afford it, but we have a system which pretends as if we are so poor that we cannot educate our children. We are so poor we cannot help our small business. Small businesses, over 30 million SMEs in Nigeria today. Less than 10% of them have access to credit. It doesn't happen like that anywhere else in the developing world.
Those
are the things I have in mind that we should be able to put in the front burner of our programs as legislators in the 9th Assembly.
Well, you certainly have high hopes, for the National Assembly, and it's a good thing. Yeah. Just wondering, do you have a take on this? Serap is very upset, and I think a number of Nigerians are upset too, at the amount of money that they're going to be paying lawmakers who are coming to the National Assembly, and they're going to court to try and stop that amount of money being paid to lawmakers. What's your take on it? Well,
I think Serap is doing what it should do. We should be interested in what our lawmakers and the executive and the judiciary, everyone in public office earns as a country. I had been a local government chairman myself, and I knew the kind of situation that you find public officers in. And I do joke with my friends that if you complain that, well, we have to end this because there is so much pressure on you as a public officer, as a politician in Nigeria, everybody brings their bills. And I say, well, that's fine. If you place, for example, if you place a governor on 500,000 naira salary in a month, and you make it public that this is what he's earning, and you make sure that there are no corners being cut, there are no other streams of income, and everybody knows that this is what he earns, I'm telling you, most of this pressure will also reduce. So I am of the view that the civil society is right to beam its attention on what lawmakers earn. But we should also do better to beam the same attention on what principal functionaries of the executive earn. The security votes that they earn in the government houses, the allowances that ministers take, and even top political officers. Let me give you an example.
Why
Somebody
does it always have to be? Sorry to interrupt.
No, we have to be holistic.
Why does it always have to be a competition? Every time somebody says something about the
I want you to situate what I'm saying very well.
But the executive too.
No. That is not. I'm not coming from that. I'm not coming from that. But I'm just saying we have to be holistic in whatever we're doing. If we are not holistic, now we are all human.
Why don't we start?
We are all human. We are all human.
Can't we start from there?
Oh, there's nothing wrong in starting with them. But like I said, I know government ministries where directors have SUVs as their official car. I also want to see a situation where we will standardize most of these things.
Wouldn't that be
now,
within the purview, assuming the National Assembly is taken care of, wouldn't that be within the purview of the National Assembly to ensure that the searchlight is also beamed everywhere else?
Unfortunately, it is neither here nor there. The National Assembly has oversight functions over the executive. That is a yes. But then when you have a system that allows for disparity, when you have a system that is not going through his due diligence in determining what is due to public officials, then you have a part of the bread having a lump sum of butter on its own, and it's not spreading around. So what I'm saying is that whatever we want to do, I agree that the setup and whoever should focus attention on the National Assembly, very, very true. I don't know the details of the package as I speak to you. I don't know what the details are.
You don't?
I don't know. Nobody has given me any package. I went for documentation yesterday. Nobody has given me any package of what I'm going to earn. Apart from what I know was approved by the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission. And most of those things approved, I laugh when I read some of these things outside, are far, far below the things that you read in the public space. I've seen someone say each sitting allowance of members of the National Assembly is 500,000. As you sit down, you earn 500,000 naira. Now, and I just laugh. That doesn't happen anywhere in this country. It doesn't happen. There's actually nothing like sitting allowance.
What is?
Absolutely nothing like that. There is no allowance paid. From the package I saw in the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission approval, there is nothing you paid for sitting. Now that is your job. Coming to sit and debate and talk is your job. Now, of course, there are remunerations paid monthly. There are running costs that are also paid for running of constituency offices. I don't know how much it is as I speak with you. But most of the humongous sums that you hear in the public space, I just know that. But I agree with you. Absolutely, I agree with you that we should have a template that will, make the pay, whatever is earned by those who are elected or appointed into office, commensurate with the economic realities of Nigeria. We cannot be feeding fat on the people who are dying of hunger, dying of poverty, dying of joblessness, and think that we'll be able to sustain the peace of this country for too long. Absolutely, it is not advisable.
Well, Honorable Babajide Salam is still with us in the studio, but we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll come and continue our conversation and wrap up with him. Please stay with us. Well, Honorable Babajide Salam is still with us in the studio. I did say we're expecting two guests earlier. We still are expecting the second guest, but Honorable Babajide Salam is a member of the People's Democratic Party, and he's a new member-elect of the House of Representatives. Well, I believe my colleagues in Lagos now have questions for him, so we'll take it to Lagos. Chamberlain?
Yeah, I'll take that question first. Honorable Salam, judging from what happened in 2015, where the unexpected, if you will, happened for both the Senate and the House of Representatives leadership, what guarantees are there? Because Lowell seems to be hopeful and very confident, saying that he has something there about 35 to 38 PDP senators working for him, working for his success for the leadership of the Senate. But you have on that one hand that, and then you also have on the second hand, northern youths saying that the emergence of Gbajabiamila may be a threat to the president's presidency in his second term. How do we get past that?
Well, thank you. Like I said, when elections are around the corner, when you have a contest between two, among three or more persons, you're surely going to have issues coming up. Somebody will remember that 5 years ago, your mom did this, your grandfather did this 100 years ago, and so on. And it's a usual thing in politics. But you know, to go to your question about what played out in 2015, the likelihood of it repeating itself. Well, you can't rule out anything in politics. For those who are aspiring, like I said, they are members of the All Progressive Congress, and they are doing the needful. The needful is to reach out to the other political parties. Let me give you an example in the House of Reps. When we came for the training program in the month of March, we had aspirants to the speakership position having their banners, lined up at the venue of the training program, and I took a particular interest in the banners, and I saw that. Again, this may sound patronizing, but I really don't mind. That it was only one of the aspirants who had the logo of all the political parties represented in the House on his own, campaign materials, on his flyers, on his campaign booklets, on the banner, and so on and so forth. Only one person. That happens to be Honorable Gbajabiamila. Now, all the others had only the symbol of their political party on the campaign materials. I don't know what happened in the Senate. I'm talking of the House of Reps now. And you see, these things, as little as they look, actually make a lot of meaning. I've seen him also trying to engage with leaders of the political party. And if you are able to secure the endorsement of those who are in the other political party, how much more your own political party? So I don't know what is happening at the moment in the Senate. My attention is focused on the House of Representatives. But I do not see the likelihood of any of these leading contenders losing out in the election tomorrow. I don't see that likelihood today. Maybe some lessons have been learned from 2011. Maybe those who were the brain behind the aspiration of those who were the major contenders in 2015 have learned some lessons. Maybe their strategies have upped their game. I don't know. But with what I'm seeing on the ground now, there's a lot of push, being done by these aspirants themselves. They are not leaving anything to chances. They are not waiting and say, well, my party has adopted me. My national chairman has come out to boast that without the PDP, I can't go anywhere. They are not doing that. They are going around to meet our governors, to meet our leaders, to talk to our caucuses, which I think is the most reasonable thing for any politician to do, especially in a context of this nature where you have a motley of political parties with equal votes. Each member has only one vote, regardless of the number. So I really don't see the probability of what happened in 2015, where you had the leading candidate in quote losing out. I am not seeing that happening on the floor of the National Assembly tomorrow.
That may not happen, but what may likely happen, according to reports, is that you look at the permutations, because Gbajabiamila is of the APC extraction, even though on that day in the House, in the hallowed chambers, they may not be voting on political lines, along political lines. But if you look at the permutations, the former Speaker, should I say Speaker Dogara now, is with the PDP. And he has come out to say that he has had a very good relationship over the past 4 years with the executive. And the concerns are that what more can Gbajabiamila bring to the table, considering that he is APC as to perhaps maybe his predecessor, Dogara, who is a PDP. And Gbajabiamila has not come out to tell us, as Lowell has, that he has 35 to 38% backing of the PDP. Gbajabiamila has not told us anything of such.
Well, let me say I'm not the spokesperson for Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. If he hasn't given the information on the endorsement that he has, well, maybe his handlers are waiting for some strategic time, to do that. But like I said, I know that he has engaged extensively with members of the PDP. He has engaged with the caucus of the PDP. And I am interested in a speaker who will respect my political party. I want a speaker who will respect my views as an opposition member, who will not muzzle the opposition. The default thought line is to assume that anybody who's coming from the APC is coming there to, muzzle the opposition, and especially going by the combative nature of their national chairman and the kind of things that the national chairman says, about the PDP and what have you. But I think wisdom is playing out here because he himself has now, broken that barrier to reach out to other political parties, to engage with them, and to tell them what he has and how he's also going to ensure that the House of Representatives does not become a rubber stamp. I must emphasize this. This is very important. We don't want a National Assembly that will be an extension of the executive. These institutions are meant to be independent, well, if you like, interdependent, but then the legislature, to my own mind, is the most important of these institutions that run democracy. It must be able to stand as the conscience of the Nigerian people. And to my satisfaction, he has given that guarantee that he wouldn't be coming there to say that, well, because I belong to the majority party, because I've been endorsed by the presidency, then, whatever comes out of the executive is like whatever comes from the holy books. That is not going to happen in the National Assembly. Like I said, I am convinced that he will respect my political party because he has demonstrated that. I've seen him engage with leaders of the party, with governors of the PDP, with members of the National Assembly from the PDP, with stakeholders of the PDP. And in any case, when you become the Speaker of the National Assembly, you are presiding over people who have the power to make and to unmake. So God forbid that anybody comes in and then you want to do anything to ridicule your members or to turn the National Assembly into a kind of a mockery. I'm not sure members of the National Assembly will sit back and allow that to happen. And I'm sure that a person who is a fifth-timer, who has been a minority leader, who has been a majority leader, who is aspiring to be Speaker, will himself not understand that this institution is too important to be undermined. It's too important to be offered, as in, like offering a plate of pepper soup to some people. It's an institution that he himself will also want to jealously guard because there's history. He has 4 years to be Speaker at the maximum, maybe, and whatever happens during his tenure will become a reference point in history. So whoever becomes the Speaker will always have that at the back of his mind, that this institution must be protected. The legislature is the most important institution of government. It represents all the constituencies in Nigeria. It is the most representative of the institutions of government and must not be turned into a rubber stamp, into a clapping assembly, an assembly of yea men. That must not happen, and I'm sure that will not happen in the 9th National Assembly.
The role of you are an opposition, person and all of that, but what's your assessment of the role of the opposition in the 8th National Assembly, and what do you foresee going forward in the 9th National Assembly?
Yeah, I must say that the 8th National Assembly has been a very dramatic assembly, and I give a lot of kudos to the leadership of the 8th National Assembly, the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, and the Speaker, Honorable Yakubu Dogara. I think they actually stood up to defend the integrity of that institution. The two of them, to my mind, are men of honor, they are men of integrity. They are men who understood what they were called upon to do. And when they were doing the signing, when the president was doing the ceremony of the signing of the budget, and he expressed his mind about the frustration he had with the 8th National Assembly, and I read the response of the Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara. I said, well, this is how it should be. The National Assembly is not meant to be an institution that it should collaborate, but it should not collaborate to the extent of losing sight of the fact that it has an oversight function on the executive. So I think the opposition in the 8th Assembly did very, very well, standing up to the executive and to the majority political party, offering alternate views, alternate plans, alternate programs, and ensuring that critical decisions are taken with the input of the opposition. Critical decisions affect everyone. If you take a decision in government today, you don't go to the state or constituency and say, well, this decision is only binding on members of Party A or Party B. It's binding on everyone. And that is why everyone has to have, you know, an input into what happens. And I want to believe that the executive must also have learned some lessons from the frustrated relationship it had with the 8th National Assembly and have a deliberate policy of better engagement. The legislature is meant to be engaged. There ought to be networking. There ought to be cross-fertilization of ideas. There ought to be, you know, regular meeting points, even behind the cameras, where you discuss some of these bills we are bringing to the National Assembly. You have inputs even before you present them. You already have a kind of an understanding. People in the National Assembly have an insight into your thinking. They know why you are bringing these. They are able to make their suggestions. This allows for easier passage of bills and allows for better relationship between the executive and the legislature. I want to believe that the Mr. President and the executive must have learned some lessons and must be ready to improve on their relationship with the legislature this time around.
Well, Honorable
it actually lies in their hand.
I can tell you very clearly that a lot of Nigerians have high expectations for the 9th Assembly, as you do. We sincerely hope that you're able to achieve all that you set out to achieve. Thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you very
Honorable-elect Bamidele Salam is a member of the People's Democratic Party, and he's been speaking to us on Sunrise Daily this morning. The program continues in a moment. Please stay with us.